What's up, everybody? It's the Mountain Sage. Come get your daily dose of sage advice. Welcome back to the mountains and this beautiful forest out here in the Cascade Mountains of Pacific Northwest. So now is the perfect time to go off grid. We all know that we live in a very much a one size fits all system from the very beginning. Our public education is not geared in self sufficiency because they need to produce good consumers. If you know how to fix your pipes, if you know how to fix your car, if you know how to, do electric work, if you know anything that allows you to be self sufficient, it's a ding on the economy, right? It's a ding and this pandemic we're going through highlights all of these things and how when people don't buy the economy, right, the power of the nation just tumbles and collapses and of the world. Um, so so all of our learning is compartmentalized based on memorization. All of the things that help you to be self-sufficient are driven out of schools, right? Um, and anything that's wholesome, right, is driven out of schools, and we're left with a dry education system. And it's time now that we start doing things differently. That's why I think now is the perfect time to go off grid. Now, out here at the cabin, we're not completely off grid, but we're very, very close to being off grid. The nearest main city is 50 miles away. And we try to eat naturally and buy organic, and not just for our health, but for to reduce the imprint that we put on the earth, right? Um, you should stop eating wheat. If you're eating wheat, you should stop before you learn where you're getting your wheat from and how you're getting it. Because they douse it with glyphosate. They spray it not just before growing the plants, but during and at harvest time, which might surprise some of you who are completely unaware that your wheat is being doused with glyphosate Roundup to dry it out more evenly. That's how they feel about you. And most people who are not conscious are just buying it up, eating it up. You're eating their glyphosate because they want to even out their thing and make more money. They want to even out the drying process and make more money, and so they're willing to sacrifice your health and well-being. All right, so that's just one little point that I wanted to make. Because you don't have to eat organic, but you should be conscious. You should simplify the way you eat. You get as much from nature as you can. Always, right? And you should only eat meat that, the amount of meat that you need. You shouldn't overeat meat or overconsume meat and eat fast food every day. Obviously, stay the hell away from fast food because that supports factory farming, which is evil. It's absolutely evil. So this is why it's the best time to go off the grid, because we have a society that is increasingly leading toward disaster. And you see it with this pandemic. All the people who thought that they were living, an okay lifestyle, once they have to be locked away, their little house with their tiny yard isn't enough, right? And problem with cities is they help to just increase the rate at of the population growing, because there's too many partners, too many people, and too many opportunities. Um, and so it's an increasingly uh, bigger and bigger issue every day. But we should stop being cogs in the wheel. It's time that we start finding other alternatives. A lot of people already are. And people who are off grid, this pandemic is not as bad. It doesn't hit you as hard, and it's not as difficult to go through. And we're working toward complete self-sufficiency. At least our power company, at least our power company, 95% is emissions free, clean energy, which is something that is very important to us. Eventually, we want to do that ourselves, right? We plan on getting land somewhere in some mountains, and being able to do that ourselves. There's like so many great off-grid channels and people who are already doing these things completely, off-grid. But I think it's something that we should work for. I think now is the perfect time to go off the grid. I think it's time to stop being mindless consumers. It's time to see that the system is built not for us. This is built for the rich. This is built for the elite, right? And now when you're bred to be a consumer, naturally you're not self-sufficient, right? So it means that you're not gonna eat as healthy, right? Because a lot of the time you don't know how to cook, right? Which is it starts from the public system and on up. We don't know how to do anything for ourselves. So we hire a restaurant, go to fast food, and so on. So they're breeding us into the perfect consumers. That's what our public education system does. It's an indoctrination system into consumerism, right? If we had true freedom, we'd be given the choice whether we want to live a consumerism-based lifestyle, right? Which is the product of capitalism, rich, a few, basically men trying to get as rich as they can off of the most people that they can, right? They want to use as many people as they can to uplift themselves. That's the inherently bad nature of capitalism. I love democracy. I love free market. I love that we can, sell, barter, and share. I think the garage sale is a fantastic thing. But it's time. I think this is why it's time that we start going off grid, start really reclaiming our lifestyle, and we'll see companies and corporations start changing. Okay, because consumers have power if we use our dollar wisely. We have the power to stop factory farming. We've got the power to stop the growing of GMOs if we just learn to buy consciously. So this is why I think it's the best time to go off grid, to get back with nature. You don't have to be even religious, but if you spend time with nature, you're going to get spiritual. You're going to see the interconnected nature of all life when you actually take the time. When you live out here in these places and you spend time, there's an intelligence here that's beautiful and peaceful. So these are some of the reasons that I think now is the best time to go off the grid. And it's really important because we're going to see things move in a bad direction, right? We know Bill Gates has talked about digital ID, things to confirm that you have a vaccine. Their newest patent, it's something 2020 060606, right? Which we know that's the mark of the beast. Hello, it's here. It's been here for some time. Incremental steps toward the mark of the beast, which I would call the marks of the beast. Look at my playlist, you'll see I've got playlists like Last Days in Beast System, because we're living in the beast system. And going off grid is one way that you can hold on to your spirit, hold on to your connection with the divine, hold on to your self, right? Hold on to Christ, which was the example of how we can be on this earth, that we don't have to act like animals. We can put others' lives before ourselves. And that makes a beautiful world. But too many people have not heeded what Christ spoke about. But now more than ever is the best time to start going off grid. And if you can't go off grid, get out more with nature. Get more in tune with nature. There's a lot of beautiful things to be found. I find that my vibration is at its highest when I'm in wilderness areas, when I'm even further out, where there's no waves at all, where there's no, satellite internet, phone waves, none of it. My vibration is at its highest. And so, and if you look at the vibration experience, or the Dr. Emoto, I think it's Emoto, his water experiments that he's done, the higher the vibration, the more complex the geometrical structure of matter, right? And your body is matter, 70% water. So lifting your vibration, having a high vibration, it keeps you healthy. You feel good more than anything. You feel good. And that's just one more reason why now's the best time to start going off grid. Really get back to a natural lifestyle. If you can't eat organic, simplify. Eat smaller, eat more raw things, right? And eat simpler, less ingredients. Shrink the ingredient list that you're putting into your body, because most of it's garbage. Most of it has never been put in the human system in the last 10,000 years, except for the last 30. And most of it don't belong there. Artificial additives and junk that's made to make the production process cheaper, right? But they want you to be a consumer. They want you to not know how to cook. So you buy their box shit, you buy their box food, and then you end up in a hospital, right? Taking their artificial pills. This is a whole artificial lifestyle that we should not be a part of. And we have the power to really make a change now. We have this phenomenal opportunity to take this break that we're given, right? By this either man-made virus or whatever virus this is, or if it's only 5G and there's no virus at all, which I don't see that. I don't see evidence this is completely faked, and I don't think that they could fake it on such a massive scale. I think they would have had to put out a virus if the elite were trying to, basically orchestrate this whole process. So some virus would have to get put out. I have said before, 5G could definitely negatively impact the immune systems, but 4G is already doing that to people. Especially in the bigger cities you live in, and there's just so many waves and data and everything just crashing through your brain that none of us even have any idea of the long-term effects of this, because most of the technology is only 20 years old or less, right? 10 years the newer smartphones, and 5 years for the super smartphones. Kind of dumb if you ask me. but yeah. So yeah, get out in nature and get back to what God intended for our lives, because the fifth world that's coming, it's a world that's natural. And so if you're being called back to the natural way of life, a more simple way of life, then you may be one of the ones that's being prepared by our great angelic friends, right? Ancient aliens. There are good beings in this universe, right? They're called angels by the ancient peoples, and angels just means messenger, right? Angel, if you look up in the dictionary, it just literally translates to messenger. And so I hope this message is getting through well enough. And it's just an incredible time that we live in. So much change, so much upheaval, right? So much wickedness, right? Abuse of children, especially in like Hollywood and places of power, right? The elites, Hillary Clinton, right? Bill Clinton. I mean, these are disgusting people that are running our world, and they worship Lucifer. They worship the devil, and they have fancy little parties where they pretend to eat people. You can look those up. That's not a conspiracy theory. There's a lady who makes like basically food that looks like humans, and that's what I'm talking about. And then they just pretend like I guess they pretend like they're eating people because they think that's fancy. I don't know. To me, that seems disgusting, sick, and definitely a sign of the occult. But none of them have any power. They have only the power that they hold over you by keeping you in fear. So that's why it's important. Now, that is why that now is the best time. Let's take back our health. Let's live a more beautiful lifestyle that's more fulfilling, gives us more time with our families, right? Maybe you don't like, spending very much time with your family. It's easier for you to just go work a job and kind of play like you have a family, right? Play families. That's what I call those. No offense, really. I mean, I don't mean any offense to any of you who just work. You work hard, and there's nothing wrong with that. Work hard, enjoy your life, be a good person. No one can blame you for that. But I think that a lot of times children and parents alike are robbed of a true relationship with each other because of our overpowering consumerist, capitalist lifestyle. Capitalism is great to an extent. People should be free to live, right? God-given rights. And nobody can judge you except God. Right? God is your judge, not me, not anyone else. But oftentimes, you're your own judge. We judge ourselves oftentimes more than anyone else does. So decide what you want in your life. Decide what kind of lifestyle that you want to have. Do you want to be a cog on the wheel? Because if you do, that's fine. But you can see the direction it's going to take you. It's already been laid out before you, all around you. You can see exactly where it takes you. It takes you into a nursing home at 65 or 70, right? For a meager way of life. It's so sad. I would never put my grandparents in those places. Don't if you're anybody out there listening or considering putting your mom or dad or grandparents in one of those places, don't do it. Go take care of them yourself if you got to, but don't put them in those places. That's such a disgusting way to have to finish up the last of your life here on earth. In some cases I understand it's it may be so bad because of a lifestyle of living unnaturally, right? Artificial junk, eating poisonous food that's causing us, using pesticides and junk and stuff that's causing us to have cancer and disease at the end of our life. But anyway, don't take the vaccine, don't take the mark of the beast, right? Don't play into their game, because we have the power to eat well. We have the power to live in a beautiful place. We have the power to choose how we live our lives. And if we choose to live the way God intended, if we choose to get back toward nature, I guarantee you, and so many other people are an example of it, there's plenty of evidence, visual evidence and testimony that shows that this way of life is much healthier, and you can enjoy yourself and be much happier, because a simple life is a beautiful life. And there's a lot of beauty to be found, when you're not wasting, you know, your life working for somebody else's gain while you're getting paid scraps. Just don't do it. Don't be a wage slave. Do your best to be self-sufficient and get off grid, or as off grid as you can. Some people like ourselves, we're working toward that ultimate, toward realizing that goal. But I do know the time is short. A new world's coming, and it's just important that we start making effort and making a stride towards that new world, right? Where we'll live in abundance and health and beauty, and we can cast off anger, pain, suffering, and so many other things that come from an unnatural way of living. We're being called back to the garden. Oregon, this place that I live, it's unique because this is where the last remnants of the Garden of Eden are and were before colonization happened, before the natives were systematically kicked off of their own land and robbed of it. And then we just kind of plowed, paved over all of that. And still to this day, unfortunately, we're ignoring it. But the day's coming, we're going to realize the wisdom of their teachings. A day this land may be called Turtle Island again, as it was once called. But times of prophecy, times of signs in the heavens and all around, we can see that the consumer-based lifestyle is, on a very large scale, a disaster. And it's just going to keep escalating. So I welcome you. It's time. Come on. Come out of her, my people, that you don't become a victim of her plagues, of her, and a victim of her sins, right? The beast system that we live in. So come on out. Get back out with nature. Get off grid if you can, or as far off grid, as close to off grid as you can. Get out, get away from the packed cities, and come see how it is to live a natural lifestyle. Work toward it. If you keep your mind open, you keep your heart open, amazing opportunities come. They do. We don't have any credit or anything, and we ended up with this awesome little cabin. And it's been such a blessing. It's been our last 5 years out here. It's been very therapeutic for me. Been through a lot of pain in my life and suffering. And, well, yeah. It's amazing looking back how much I've awakened from the slumber of the consumerism model, the slumber that I was put in from the very beginning, to never question what I ate, never question how I lived, just we're just cultivated like that, programmed. And I cast off my programming, thank God. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm more happy than I've ever been in my life. I've tried the man-made way. I've tried society's way of doing things, right? The one-size-fits-all system, which is mainly just a kiss-ass system. Everybody's kissing somebody else's ass. You can't argue with me on that. Everyone's got a boss, and they're all kissing the boss's ass in one way or another. Not necessarily always outwardly or obviously, but you're showing up on time. You're showing up right when you're told to, like a good little wage slave. It's not the way to live, in my opinion. For me, it's never worked. It's just I become an uglier person when I try to cram myself into that beast system. So I've freed myself from that. Thank God. and God's given me. All glory to God because He's helped me through the whole process. My wife and you know just the close ones that we have to our life. My wife's mother is a wonderful woman, very helpful, um, very kind and selfless, and we need more people like that in the world. We got to help each other out so that we can live a more idyllic way, you know, idyllic kind of lifestyle, a simpler life.